So how does a congregation apply to participate in the Community Ministry Grant, or CMG? Because the CMG program is only available to 30 congregations, there is a program application in which congregations in Marion and contiguous counties apply to be one of 30 who get into the Education Grant CMG program. The program application, which you'll find elsewhere on the website, and you might like to pull it out as you watch the rest of this segment and see what the questions are that we're asking. The program application is where congregations in the geographical region targeted for this grant will apply to be one of 30 congregations. This application is a competitive application. Those of you who have received resource grants from the Center for Congregations recall that that process involves an ongoing conversation between a center staff member and a leader from a congregation. Together, you're working on what resources can be funded and how you articulate your needs and budget in the grant application. So there's a collaborative work between the center staff and the congregational leader when you're applying for a resource grant. Those are not competitive grants. But the CMG program is a competitive program. And so the center staff are not going to be able to assist you with writing that application. You will note, if you look at the timeline for the CMG program, that it extends over several years. You apply for the program in April of 2016, are notified that you are a participant in May of 2016, and then the first educational event, as Katie has mentioned, is June 8th, which will be a half-day orientation. Two of the other educational events will take place in late 2016. The third and final education event will take place early in 2017. The grant applications are due late summer, early fall of 2017, and then congregations will spend 2018 implementing their community ministry program. So you see, there are a number of months between the time that you are accepted into the program and the time that you need to apply for the money to implement your community ministry program. So we want to focus right now on the program application. But before we do, let me say just a word or two about the grant application, which will again come due not until summer and fall of 2017. The grant application will be submitted in order for you to get funding for the community ministry program that you have developed. While we can never guarantee 100% that you will get a grant, nevertheless, if you participate in each of the educational events, you create a grant that requires funding for grant eligible things, the Center for Congregations will work with you, because it is our desire that those who have been admitted into the program will receive grant funding. So let's now go into more details about the program application. And again, the application is found online, needs to be filled out, typed, submitted as a hard copy, and submitted to the center by April 27th, 2016. So what are we going to ask you to complete in the program application? First of all, we're going to ask you some things about your congregation. We're going to ask a little bit about the size and the denomination. We're also going to ask you about your call to community ministry. A call, as Katie has suggested in earlier segments, is far more than the interest of one or two people in your congregation. A call comes forth from discernment and conversation and decision-making. The second thing we're going to ask you about relative to your congregation is something about what's going on otherwise in your congregation. The Center for Congregations has had extensive experience with congregations participating in these kinds of grant programs, which we call major grants initiatives. And from the feedback of congregations who have been in them, we have learned strongly that congregations that are involved in certain initiatives are not successful when they participate in a major grants initiative such as CMG. So we're asking you, is your congregation anticipating a clergy transition in the next 2 to 3 years? Is your congregation in the middle of or anticipating a capital campaign? And is your congregation, or do you anticipate being involved in a building program? Are we saying that if you answer yes to any one of those, you cannot be in the program? No, but this gives an opportunity for congregations to reflect, think, and discern and make decisions about whether it is advisable to enter into the community ministry grant program when other things are going on. So we're going to ask you to describe your congregation, including your call, to tell us a little bit about what else is going on in your congregation. We're going to ask you about the history of your congregation's involvement in community ministry. And finally, we're going to ask you to think of a scenario about where your congregation and engagement with the community might be 2 or 3 years after you have gone through the community ministry program and implemented your special community ministry in your target community. In closure, the Community Ministry Grant Program, or CMG, is a program offered by the Center for Congregations to help participating congregations develop the capacity to design, implement, and sustain a new community ministry to their target community. It is a program outside the work of their worshiping space. Contact us if you have further questions. Thank you.